And then it again happened. There were 3 big ones. And amazingly, a geologist from USGS wrote a paper, Bulletin 494, in 1912, 100 years after the big quakes down there in New Madrid. And I'd finally gotten a copy of this book, and it was on my desk in the office. And a fellow said, "Oh, I've been wanting to see that book. Can I borrow it?" And I said, "Oh, well, okay. I really only just started it." Next week he came back and he said, "Did you get to page 35?" And I said, "No." "Well, look at there." And there's a table showing the phase of the moon. And he said 6 of the 7 large earthquakes occurred at the time of the new or full moon. Now, and that was written in 1912. And my younger colleagues apparently haven't looked at the literature.
People are scared of it. I'll tell you, they're probably scared of it because it's not in their paradigm.
That's part of it. Yes, I've seen people say, "Oh, you're the one that predicts earthquakes," and I get that they kind of back away from me a little bit. But that reaction has much lessened in recent years.
I'll bet it has.
Uh-huh.
And also peer pressure keeps these people back. The peer pressure is immense.
Oh,
it's probably its own gravitational field. So about this New Madrid fault line, what does this mean to us today?
It's they only happen, big quakes there, maybe 300 or 400 years based on trenching and observation of geologic features from past earthquakes. So it's very rare there. There's no active fault there, but there is a zone that extends up towards the northeast into Illinois and along the Illinois River. The last really large earthquake down there was 1895 in a seismic window, and that was about a 6 point. So I have no great concern right now about the Midwest, except that they almost have all these brick buildings and brick chimneys and a large unawareness of what the hazards can be with tiles and bricks and the lack of wooden houses, which are very flexible and forgiving. So it doesn't hurt to watch what's happening now. In 1990, there was a warning about earthquakes in the New Madrid area, and an astronomer, meteorologist, said there was going to be a big one in that December. Turned out to be very, very high tides in early December of 1990. And I was aware of his prediction about a year earlier, but I didn't pay any attention to it because I recognize that I can't predict for a particular area a year in advance, and that's what he was doing. And he just said, I guess that he figured that the New Madrid area was due. Well, it turns out that about in October there was about a 5 magnitude quake, not too far from New Madrid, so everybody thought he's right on. But and I was being interviewed by Unsolved Mysteries, and they wanted to hear about my talk about the animals and the quake of October '89. And then they said, "Well, what do you think about this big quake due in New Madrid?" And I said, "I don't believe it. I'd give it less than 1/2% chance of happening, because you have to have local clues from the animals. There's seepage of springs and change in temperature and radon gas and that sort of thing, and there had been nothing like that I knew about. So they immediately stopped the interview. And I talked with the people and brought up their pet dogs, and we talked about the horse that had shied at the corral and all that, and we were right on the scene. But they didn't use it all. It ended up on the
cutting room floor. Left there. But let me ask you this. There is a way, isn't there, to look at the tides into the future based on where they are now, or is it not really?
No, you get from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. I actually rely on a calendar that's produced every year, and you can get the tide factors for any place in the world, mostly around North America. So I have it for Southern California, and I could just give out the number if I wanted to get people to get their own tide.
Sure.
It shows the daily ranges in tides, and internet orders and info at www.tidelines.com. And you can get your calendar for maybe $20, and they'll send along with it a little one. Instead of a big wall calendar, a little pocket calendar that shows you the same things. And you can get them for San Francisco, Monterey, Morro Bay, Santa Barbara, Los Angeles.
So you have to get them in a particular area, correct?
You order whichever you want, yeah, and they go work to Hawaii and up and down the East Coast. Of course, the tides are larger along the Pacific coast. Down in the Gulf, they're very small, just as they are in the mid-Pacific. The tide ranges are very small. They largely depend upon the local topography, and that's why they just had the really great damage in Crescent City. They have like a funnel-shaped topography offshore, and it just normal tide would maybe be 5 feet high, and suddenly it's channeled upward into 20 feet or more. So you can see on the wiggly lines every day going up and down, and during the neap tide periods when there's not much variation, it's usually in between the newer full moon. And then if you see perigee approaching the newer full moon, you'll see the tides getting more and more extreme. And I see here, looking at the end of December this year, the maximum tide goes top of the date, and the bottom is right down to a minus. So typically in the Golden Gate, a tide on a neap tide period ranges between 4 and 4.5 feet between high and low. Then as you approach a syzygy, it'll be 7 feet. And if it's a syzygy perigee, it's usually over 8 feet to a maximum ever of 9.2 feet. And that's what happened in 1974 on the date that I had first become aware of the importance. Well, I'll be guessing at a phone call here in a couple of minutes.
Indeed. Jim, I really want to thank you for taking this impromptu call and for sharing yourself on its rainmaking time and making yourself available. And thank you for all the years of work that you've been doing and the new knowledge that you're bringing through to everybody. And I really want to commend you for your courage and your diligence to stay with it no matter what, no matter who jokes about this or thinks it's a joke and doesn't understand that it's part of new knowledge. Thank you so much.
And get the book.
Yes, we're definitely going to get the book. And also, can you tell us your website address?
Yes, Syzygy Job. SYZYGY, JOB, my initials, at AOL.com. SyzygyJob.com. That's my website. SYZYGYJOB.com. Exactly.
Fantastic.
So lining up sun, moon, and earth.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Very good. All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.